Hey, good morning. Gonna switch it up a little bit today, not because what we've been looking at in the Bible isn't important. Um, just feeling like the Lord wants me to come back around to my story for a while. I'm still reading in Deuteronomy, so the next time I pull you into devotions, it could be in a different spot, but I'll give you background as to how we got there. Anyway, to go back to my story, the Lord had opened the door through a kind pastor to work me back into ministry. And I was working with kids and teens and a great team of volunteers. Our kids were in the kids program, which was Awana. Um, and we were seeing just the Lord work and move. It was neat. Well, the pastor that had called us back into ministry, Pastor Ken, he followed through on a plan to retire. And before he retired, he said, "So, Ed, what are you feeling? Do you want to take my spot? Are you gonna go somewhere else?" And again, I felt I was really loving the youth work, and we had a great setup there. As a matter of fact, some of the smaller churches in the area had come to us and said, "We're ready to support your youth and teen ministry because you've got the kids, and we just want to be of help." It was really great. We got some Christian speakers into the public school there, and did some neat missions trips, which I kind of talked to you about a bit. Uh, really was just a great time of ministry. So Pastor Ken retired, and they got a new guy. I stayed on as youth and children's pastor. The new guy, and history bears it out, was not pastoral material. But I figured my job was to support him, to help him get on board with ministry there. He was coming from out west and coming into Michigan, different culture. It didn't work out. There's a lot of details there, and I'm not going to give any of those, but after 2 years, he ended up resigning and leaving, and I became the interim pastor for 6 months. I got to continue the youth and children's ministry, regular preaching and teaching, did funerals, hospital visits, board meetings. I didn't really do board meetings. They pretty much had their things set. And then they got an intentional interim in, which was great. Older guy in his 70s, and he was just a solid guiding presence. The youth and children's ministry really struggled and fell apart because during that 2 years of the pastor who wasn't, and he didn't pastor any more churches after Big Rock. He was done pastoring. But anyway, during his ministry, a lot of our leaders left, and phone calls, and didn't get them back. And they were gone. So, after almost exactly 7 years of ministry at Big Rock Church, I resigned as youth and children's pastor. There really wasn't. It was pretty well dead. And And we church hopped for about 6 weeks, which was kind of fun. We got to worship different places, different styles. The kids were bummed because they thought we were just going to be done with church for a while. I was like, nah, let's go someplace else. Let's try these different churches out. So we did, which was fun. You don't usually get to do that. We got to sat under different pastors, and the kids got to hear, and Sarah and I got to hear different preaching, and it was great. It was really good. And then I got a call from the Free Methodist bishop. And there was a little bitty Free Methodist church, maybe 6-7 miles down the road from Big Rock, maybe 10 miles, that they were going to have to close unless they could get somebody to come and fill the pulpit. Would I do that? So, yeah, after 6 weeks, just before Christmas, we started at this little church and had a lot of fun. They didn't have a pianist or an organist, but they had a collection of CDs, and we did worship music that way and preached, and our little kids buzzed around. My son Ian loved to. They had a stair chair to get folks up and down the stairs, and it went down to a landing, and then it turned and went down again, and he loved riding that thing. And we were there for a good 8 months. During that time, my mom back in Pennsylvania got a diagnosis of Alzheimer's. She hadn't known my name for a couple of years anyway. About 3 years, maybe 4. So we knew something was up, but the diagnosis was official, and they were putting her on meds for it. And really felt a call and a drive to move back closer to the Pennsylvania parents and to be a support there. And the Lord opened the door to the next chapter of our ministry at a little church, Wesleyan Church in Odessa, New York. Big Rock was such a formative experience in a lot of ways, and I may come back and unpack this later. But the Lord allowed me back into ministry to work with some great volunteers, to work under a really good pastor, to work under a not so good pastor, to see the differences and to learn from both directions. God works in everything in our lives if we're looking, if we're seeking. And I'm getting better at that as the years go by.